The smell of death, life trumps death, and then third, a surprising response. So first, the smell of death. Some of you know that I grew up on a farm, a hog farm. In grade school, my family moved out of the old farmhouse and my parents built a new home about a mile down from the old farmhouse. And at some point after we moved into this brand newly built home, it started to smell. Like there's bad smell, and then there's like, what in the world is that kind of smell? Okay? That's the kind of smell it was. And it's a new house. So it's like, why does this house smell like death? Well, it's because there was death there. Something had crawled up in the attic and died. We couldn't find it, couldn't get to it. So we just kind of lived with it a little bit at least, because in October, November, it was around that time, it got cold, and so the smell went away. Until the summer came. And the heat of July and August, where it can get to be 110, 120 degrees up in the attic, that smell came back, the smell of death. So my dad ultimately went up there and he did whatever it took, like pulling up the floorboards, like going into the wall, doing whatever it took so as to find the rotting corpse. Now, someone earlier thought that I was talking about a body, a human body. No, it was an animal, I think a raccoon or something, that died. But after that, then the smell went away. That's a great image, a great illustration for us to think about this Easter morning. Because it's a great image, it's a great illustration of the human heart, of the condition of our human state. One spot in the Bible, in the Old Testament, one of the books in the Old Testament is the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah, a prophet, he put it this way. He said, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Who can understand it?" I think we all know what it feels like to notice our heart desperately sick, where it leaves us ultimately in a spot, right? Maybe weighed down by sin, by guilt, and it leaves us in a spot of I just can't understand it. And asking ourselves, why is it that I say that was the last time I'm doing that, and then it wasn't? Or why is it that it seems like my compulsions drive me and rule me? See, the Christian answer to that question is because death is at work in you. And death is at work in me. That there's something in us that isn't just broken, it's rotting. We're born into the condition of sin. St. Paul put it this way in Ephesians 2, he says, "You were dead in your trespasses." He just put it bluntly. You were dead in your trespasses and your sin. Something deeper at work in us. See, that's why best principles and best practices, they're good. I'm all about that. I like that. Going on YouTube, it's all the craze, right? YouTube, Instagram, and looking up the best morning routines and doing this and doing that to get more discipline, to build the best habits. All of that is good, and it can help for a little bit. To some degree, the smell will go away for a little bit until just the right amount of stress hits, or the right amount of loneliness hits, or the right amount of whatever hits. There's that smell again. Smell of death, sin that's at work in me. The habits at a 5 a.m. wake up and lemon water and writing down your 10 things that you're grateful for in the morning just won't cut it. It won't do anything about the death that's at work in you and me. Which is why this morning, Easter morning, the resurrection is such good news, because life trumps death. There's a story, also another story in the scriptures, the New Testament, the Gospel of John, where describes Jesus. Three of his friends were siblings: Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And at one point, Lazarus, the brother of Mary and Martha, got really sick, like really sick. And Martha and Mary, Jesus was out of town, sent for Jesus and got word to him and said, hey, our brother is sick. He's dying. Your friend is sick and dying. And Jesus didn't come right away. And and Lazarus died. And Martha, Jesus eventually does come, and Martha meets Jesus there, and she just says to Jesus bluntly, if you were here, this wouldn't have happened. Lazarus wouldn't have died. Which there's probably not a small number of us this morning that are here that are in that spot, thinking like, Lord, if you were there, if you were here, this wouldn't have happened. That's another homily. That still might be a spot that the Lord wants to speak into us this morning. That he is in control and he's got it. But then Jesus says something really that just shifts everything to Martha. He just turns to Martha after she says that, and he says to Martha, I am the resurrection. I am life. He doesn't say, I will raise the dead or I will give life. I don't just bring resurrection. I don't just bring life. I am those things. That is wild. Then he goes to the tomb, and they try to tell him Lazarus has been in the tomb for 4 days. It's too far gone. And they say he's been in the tomb for 4 days. There's already a stench. There it is again. The smell of death. The smell of sin. But Jesus, what does he do? He goes right to the tomb, right to the place that stinks, right to the place that's without hope, right to the place that's too far gone, where others, maybe in your life, or maybe it's yourself that just says, that spot is too far gone, I'm too far gone, it's just forget about it. He goes right to that spot and he says, come out, Lazarus, and Lazarus rises from the dead. A dead man comes to life. Easter is all about being alive. Or as Peter put it in the reading that we heard as he's preaching, he says, Jesus is alive and he offers you forgiveness of sins. In other words, Jesus is alive and he offers to deal with the death that is at work in you. To climb up in the attic and to rip up the floorboards into the wall, whatever it takes, so as to get to what is rotting and to resurrect it and to bring new life. How do we do that? How do we let him do it? That brings us lastly here to the surprising response. Perhaps I know maybe I have dead parts in me that I like to, if I could, start over, like I would start over. I want to start over. What if there's parts in me, maybe parts in you here that want to respond to the Easter message this morning, the resurrection? How do I do that? How do I actually let him in? Here's how. And here's the surprise. You have to die. You have to die. In order to come alive, you have to die. The next chapter in the Lazarus account, the next chapter, Jesus says something wild. He says, if you want to have life in you, you have to die to yourself. You have to give your life away. What does that mean? It's like I step off the throne of my life and I put him on it. We, as moderns, we really like the idea of putting ourselves as a god. We make really crummy gods. And in order to have life, he says you have to give your life away. You have to hand over the reins of your life. Which as moderns, that is wild to us because we are so self-focused and it's about me. And the gospel says you have to give it away in order to have life. It's the only way. And so to close here, do you believe any of this? Do you believe any of this? Because that's what Jesus turned and asked Martha. After he says, Martha, I am the resurrection. I am life. I have power to do something right now because I am the resurrection. He turns to Martha and he says, Martha, do you believe this? And Martha said, yes. What's your answer? Do you believe Jesus is alive? Do you believe that he is the resurrection, that he is life, that he has power to do something in your life even this morning? Look, Jesus either rose from the dead or he didn't. The tomb is either empty or it's not. Jesus is alive. Make the decision today, maybe for the first time, to give over your life and say, I'm done trying to do this on my own. I let go the reins of my life and I give it to you, Lord. I surrender to you, you who went to the cross for me, who died for my sins, who offers me forgiveness of sins. I give you my life. Make the decision today to do that so that he can go up into the attic and start ripping things up, tearing up floorboards, breaking into the walls to find what's rotting and decaying and to resurrect it and to give it new life.